Da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-da-dum.
What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, another special Kickstarter review, and today I'm very excited to check out Swords and Bagpipes from Right Games. This is for 3 to 5 players, ages 11 plus, it'll take about 20 to 45 minutes to play. And in Swords and Bagpipes, you will be playing as people from Scotland trying to fight off the English dogs that are attacking your country. But be wary, because amongst you and your fellow Scottish people, there will be English traitors who have infiltrated your group, who will, from round to round, be fighting potentially for England. But if they do that, they will gain treacherous daggers. If you have too many daggers, you can't win the game. It's a delicate balancing act, a very simple, light game, but is it good? Let's open it up, check it out. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what's inside of Swords and Bagpipes. So first and foremost, I do want to mention this is the promotional copy I have in front of me, so take everything you see here with a grain of salt. So in Swords and Bagpipes, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking control of a Scottish family, and each round, and there's 7 rounds, you can play to more if you'd like, but each round there is going to be an army from England coming at you, trying to attack you. You're going to be putting troops out, and you'll have some community troops out here, and you are going to fight. And if you win, then people will get various different amounts of coins and cards. And if you lose, you'll move up 1 spot on this tracker right here. If you ever get to this spot right here, everyone loses the game, but luckily someone will still win the game. But assuming you don't get all the way there, what's going to happen is whoever has the most gold is going to be the winner of the game. But that doesn't make much sense right now, so I'll give you, we'll go over the handy-dandy rule booklet first. So first and foremost, we got a handy-dandy rule booklet. It is 16 pages, full color, illustrations, pictures, examples, all the good stuff you like to see in a rule booklet, and this is a very quality rule booklet. It'll have you up and running in no time at all, and the gameplay itself is very simple. Now, I said 16 pages, that sounds like a lot, but in actuality, like 3 or 4 pages are just filler, giving you some references to history and some Scottish songs, various other different things like that. So in this game, we're going to go over the components, then we'll get into the gameplay. There's going to be 7 main phases. We'll go through each and every one of them, show you how it works, and then you should have a good idea of what's going on. So first in front of you, you are going to have your particular house with their various different colors. So I have the Mackays right here, and you're going to have a castle. The castle is where you're going to keep your gold, which comes in increments of 1, 5, 15, perfectly serviceable. And then this is also where you're going to keep your troops that are not fighting at the moment. And they come in increments of 1 and 2, and they'll go in your castle. Nice, thick, sturdy castle. Looks pretty cool. Next, you're going to have what's called your camp right here, this is where you're going to put your troops when they are going to fight. So as I mentioned, England is going to be attacking Scotland each and every round, and you are going to put your troops here, and that's how many troops you are committed to fighting. Which brings me next to these little tiles, and I actually have them for the different family. I believe these are for one of the other families, which is the common. But anywho, you're going to have these, and one is going to be Scotland, which will have the Scottish hat, and one is going to be England, and that has the English crown. And this is going to be a random, well, not random, it's going to be a hidden element. So you're going to put these out there, and as I mentioned, you're going to put troops right in here. This is going to decide each and every round who you are fighting for. So you might be fighting for Scotland, or you might be fighting against Scotland, and you're never going to know what these are until everyone reveals them at the same time. So that's what you're going to have in front of you. Next, you're going to have the board in the middle. The board's going to have a lot of information on it. It looks like it's a little bit cluttered, but in actuality, it's a very helpful board, and I'll go over everything that's going on here. First, we're going to have bagpipe cards up here, and these are special ability cards that you will earn if you fight for Scotland, and they will give you tons of various different other special abilities that will take place during various different times of the game. And what's nice is, up here, they actually have when you play the card. So, for instance, let's see, this one has the little gold symbol right there, which means we would play this during the awards phase. This one right here has the axe on it, which means we would play it during the actions phase. So that's very nice that they included that there. A lot of games really should do that. But we'll go over a couple of the special ability cards. So take 1 coin and 1 troop from any England supporter's castle, so you can essentially take stuff from somebody who goes against Scotland. Choose 1 bagpipe and card from the discard pile and add it to your hand. Wow, that can be really useful. Do blank during your turn. That means that you're going to do this phase right here, which is the raise militia phase, and I will tell you a little bit more about that next. Now, I do want to mention that there's some cards that have a ×2 right here. That means that once you use this card, you'll get to use it another additional time, so it doesn't immediately get discarded, whereas most of them would immediately get discarded. We'll look at one more. each Scotland supporter will add 1 to his camp in this round. So that's pretty nice. That means they're going to have an additional troop in their camp. So those are going to be the bagpipe cards. They will come very handy. Next, we got our little token tracker right here. As I mentioned, this is just going to be keeping track of how many times England has defeated Scotland. And if it ever gets up to here, the game is going to end immediately, and then the person who is the most noble will win. Next, you're going to have these dagger cards, and dagger cards are bad. They're going to have either 1, 2, or 3 on them. And if you, at the end of the game, assuming that, if you at the end of the game have 5 more dagger points than anyone else, you cannot win the game, period. You can have the most money times 2, but you have to, it's a delicate balancing act. Now, this is secret information. You can lie about this, and sometimes people have like 3 ones, and people will be like, oh man, he must have a lot. But in actuality, he doesn't. Now, how do you get these dagger cards? Well, when you support England, because you are a treacherous fiend who's supporting England, and you will get more money most of the time, guaranteed most of the time, but you also take one of these dagger cards, which means there's a chance you're not going to be able to win at the end of the game, even with all your gold. The last thing I really want to point out right now are going to be these cards right here. And as you can see, these ones are a little bit poorly die cut. This is the promotional copy, as I mentioned. And what's going to happen is each round you're going to flip one of these over. And this you'll take a special effect. So there's no special event today, so that's a good one. But most of them will have a special event that will impact various different things. So here's how this works. So England is going to be sending 6 troops at us. And you put it down right there, actually. And this is kind of hopeful right here. And what's going to happen is if you fight for Scotland and you win, and you don't have arrows in your hat, you're going to collect 4 gold coins, and you're also going to get one of these bagpipe cards, which, as we mentioned, will give you a special ability. If you fight for Scotland and you pick Scotland and they lose against England, you're going to get 1 coin, and then you'll get to put 1 troop into your castle. So, you know, not the end of the world. Now, if you fight for England, if you decide to be a treacherous fiend and fight for England, you're going to get a dagger card, obviously, but you're also going to get 7 coins, but that is divided amongst all the people who fight for it. So, for instance, if 2 people fight for it, that reward goes from 7 down to 3, but if you're the only person who does it, then it's like, boom, I just got $7. So take a look at a couple more of those so you can see. This one is going to split 6. So this one says if England wins, each England supporter gets a bagpipe card. So that's a really appealing one right there. This one, players get 1 unit less during the assembled troops and the hire mercenaries action of the replenishment. So we'll go over into the actions in a second, but that one is really bad if you don't have that many troops. Now I do want to point out, where is it? There's some, like, well, there are, I swear, right here, which, for instance, just has a 4. There's no daggers underneath. That means if you fight for Scotland that turn, you are or England that turn, you're guaranteed to get 4 coins. Win or lose, you're still going to get the money if you fight for England because you're a traitor and you don't really care. But when it doesn't have daggers, that means you're just going to get that money. This one is a really tough one, so they're going to be sending 10 troops right there. So those are going to be what you're going to be facing each and every turn. So let's go over a mock turn so you can see exactly how this is going to work. First, you're going to start off with this little thing right here. This is the Pro Libertate card, which means the token, which means if you have this, you have to fight for Scotland. You don't get a choice on these. So you'll start off randomly. One person will have that, and then you're going to go through the 7 phases. First, you're going to put the invasion phase, and that's where you're going to flip over one of these cards to see exactly what you're dealing with. Next, you're going to have the action phase, where each and every player, starting with the person that is this, is going to take 1 action. And the 4 actions you can take, and there's only 4, are you can earn a coin, and then go ahead and put it on your castle, bloop, just like that. Or what you can do is you can raise a militia. Now, how this works is you're going to put 1 in your camp and 1 in everyone else's camp. So that means they are going to be fighting. And you're also going to put 1 right here, which is the Wallace camp. And this means that people who are going to be fighting for Scotland. So Scotland is going to be guaranteed to have won that turn. So for instance, if you're going to be facing a particularly tough English opponent, you might want to do that. Next, you can assemble troops. And this one is going to give you 2 troops that you will just, boom, put in your castle like that. And that is absolutely free. Or you can pay 1 gold coin, and you can get 4 troops to put into your castle. So that's going to give you a lot of wiggle room. And that's all you're going to do. You only get one action during your turn. So it's actually pretty simple. So next you're going to have what's called the relocation. This is where you're going to decide how many people you are going to commit from your castle to your camp, which means you are going to lose those people, but they are going to be fighting for either England or Scotland. You'll play any bagpipe cards that you may have, which have this axe symbol on them, and then you're going to get to what's called the choice phase. Oh, excuse me, almost forgot a giant phase, which is this person is going to pass this badge to someone else. So, for instance, if I decide to pass it over here, this person has to fight for Scotland. They do not have a choice. Even if they had originally planned to fight for England, too bad, I messed up their plans. Now they are going to be fighting for Scotland. They don't have a choice, so it kind of stinks for them. But next round, they will get to pass this to anyone else they want, except for the person that passed to it last round. So you can't just pass it back and forth. So it's going to be moving around the table. So next we have the choice phase, which is where everyone is going to secretly look at these and then play down whichever one they would like to do. So boom, we are a treacherous fiend who's going to be fighting for England. Next you'll have the battle phase, which means everybody just reveals these. You add up the different number in all the camps and who's everyone fighting for, and then you see who won. If there is a tie, then Scotland wins, because obviously they have home turf. However, if they lose, you move this up on one, and as we mentioned earlier, if Scotland wins, then Scotland supporters get this. If England wins, then Scotland supporters get that. And no matter what, win, lose, draw, doesn't even matter. You can't draw in the game. England supporters are going to get that. And that is the end of that phase. You'll get the awards phase where everybody collects these various different goods. And then you do the end phase, which means you just get rid of all the stuff that's in your camp because they have fought and they're dead or whatever. And then you flip over another card and you rinse, wash, and repeat. You do that for 7 rounds. So at the end of the game, whoever has the most gold is going to be the winner of the game, as long as that person does not have 5 daggers. That person, or 5 daggers more than anyone else. So for instance, we get to the end of the game, one person has 12 daggers, but they have 20 coins, but they have 5 more daggers than everybody else. They can't win, period. The other way that someone can win is that if you eventually get boom, boom, boom all the way to here, everybody's a treacherous fiend, and if that happens, then whoever has the fewest amount of daggers is going to be the winner of the game, and that, in a nutshell, is how Swords and Bagpipes is played. Alrighty then, Swords and Bagpipes from Right Games. One of my fellow thoughts. Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, the game's not going to be for everybody for a couple of different reasons. It has a very restricted player count of 3, 4, and 5 players, so if you don't typically have that many players, it might not be for you. Also, I would not recommend this game at 3 players. I'm going to be flat out blunt about that. I didn't like the game at 3 players. I thought it to be a little bit boring. 4 and 5, on the other hand, we'll get to on the pro side. Next, the game is on the lighter side. It takes about 20 to 45 minutes to play, it says, and I think that's about right, especially if everybody knows what they're doing. It's a very brisk game, but there's not too many veering paths. There's not too much strategy. So if you like more strategy games, this one might not be for you. Also, the theme is there, and I like the theme. I personally really enjoy the theme. But to be honest with you, it's a theme that if you know nothing, next to nothing about it, it might turn you off a little bit. But, that's something that you can decide if you like or not. Any other cons I have about this game? I'm trying to think. Not really. Moving on to the pros, I really enjoyed Swords and Bagpipes. I will say I was a little bit worried. A couple red flags. First, this game was ported over from Russia. I believe it's already released in Russian. They ported over the rules to English, and I've had a couple games like that where the rules have just been absolutely god-awful. So when I got the rules, I was very pleasantly surprised. Everything component-wise in this game is very well done. I like the artwork. The rule booklet's great. The board is extremely functional. The components are nice. The castle and the camp is very cool. Everything about this game just leaks quality, and it leaks that it was really cared for. This game was really cared for. Another thing that I really liked about this game was just how simple this game is. It's very simple to learn, very simple to teach, very simple to just get out, set up, and have it taught in about 5 minutes. And it's just the same thing. You're just going to do the same steps over and over and over again. It's 7 simple steps. I wish the steps were on the board, but that's neither here nor there. It's still a very well done board. Another thing I liked about this game was I personally like the artwork and the theme. Now, I know next to nothing about this theme, which actually made this theme kind of more fun for me, because I would just be like making stuff up about England versus Scotland on the fly, and it just created these funny scenarios, and everybody was laughing, getting into the theme. I like that an awful lot. I like the fact that no one ever really knows who you're going to be rooting for, and then there's some bagpipe cards that'll make it, like you can put extra stuff in your camp or take it away. I really like the bagpipe cards. Even though some of them do feel a smidge bit overpowered, I still like the added addition of those. So overall, Swords and Bagpipes, if you're in the market for a light, fun, social game like this where everybody's going to be talking back and forth and bantering, this one is definitely one to check out. As long as you're not planning on playing it 3 players, I highly recommend Swords and Bagpipes. And honestly, if you play a lot of Resistance or games like that, this is a really fun game. I think it's way better than the Resistance at 4 or 5 players. I would definitely play this over, say, like a One Night Ultimate Werewolf at 4 or 5 players, even though I wouldn't directly compare this game to that game, just because, you know, you don't have a set role. In those games, you kind of have a set role that you have to stick to. In this one, you have some wiggle room. Like, oh, that's a really good reward. I'm going to go ahead and be, you know, an English dog this time. Or, oh, you know what? That's a really cool bonus for the Scottish people. So I'm going to go ahead and do this for Scotland. I like that fact that it doesn't just pigeonhole you into one particular role. You get a little bit of flexibility there. So overall, Swords and Bagpipes, really enjoy this game. If you're looking for a nice, light, fun filler or social game for 4 or 5 players, absolutely be sure to check out the Kickstarter link, which I will be sure to post below. So in the comments below, let me know, do you know much about Scotland versus England, the history of this game? Because me personally, I know nothing, which kind of made the game more fun, because I'd be making up stuff about how, like, Scotland was the hero of World War II, and England was actually fighting against the dinosaurs, and Russia. I don't even know. I was just making stuff up on the fly, but it added a lot of fun and a good sense of humor to the game. But do you know anything about this history, and do you enjoy this kind of history? Because I personally love history, but I just know nothing about this period of time, aside from what I saw on Braveheart. So, as always, if you enjoyed this content, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below, and thanks for your time, YouTube. That was the review for Swords and Bagpipes. For more reviews and previews, check back at Bauer's Game Corner.